So you were in the building in Birmingham. You called me and said, I'm on a train to Birmingham. I said, Alabama? And he said, no, Sean. I'm going to Birmingham in the UK to go see Ben Whittaker in his first fight with Matchroom Promotions, Eddie Hearn. I tuned in, didn't have to tune in for long. First round knockout. Ben Whittaker fights off his jab for the second fight in a row after his draw to Liam Cameron. He starts with the jab and actually gets quasi cornered by Ben Gavazi, and then unleashes sweeping power shots from both hands, drops him. Gavazi beats the count and then gets brutally knocked out. And what I'll say is a knockout of the year candidate. I think Brian Norman Jr. is going to hold on to that mantle and win the award, but I do think he'll get an honorable mention. Gavazi, Rahim, his opponents had a combined record of 169 wins to 347 losses. He's an overmatched opponent. For comparison's sake, he's about the same level as some of the guys Jake Paul has fought, and he's the same age that David Benavidez is at 28, taking on the top guys. So he's got some catching up to do level of opposition-wise, but I keep an open mind because he won the silver medal and the talent is undeniable. The guy's got talent. You could see that off the screen. So I keep an open mind, even though I understand the skepticism that he is more sizzle than steak. You were there. What did you think?
Let's take this in slices, right? So first thing, the fight itself. The standout punch to me, believe it or not, was the very first punch landed. It was a body shot from the Gavazi that landed on Whittaker. Clean, sharp, heard it. I was right ringside, but and it got a smile out of Whittaker. The reason that is the significant shot, because with all the ways that you can discount Gavazi as an opponent, I felt like that first punch woke Whittaker up in the sense that he realized that there will be no fights in his future where a guy doesn't come to get him, doesn't come with his best right up front and try to dictate dominance immediately. That is what the Liam Cameron first fight got Whittaker. He got now opponents who will see that he is testable and want to rattle him early and have confidence. With all the showboating, all the prospecting about what he might become, all the talent that is evident, guys just needed to see somebody have success and make them believe that that can be me too. Before that fight, Liam Cameron had no chance of winning the fight by most people's estimation. He was a massive underdog, and he didn't win the fight. But he had enough success in the fight. He changed what we thought Ben Whittaker was at the time and made Ben Whittaker have a rematch and prove that he's still on a trajectory for success. Even though he didn't lose the fight, he lost that veneer of invincibility and that shine of the super over-talented fighter that's overmatching every one of his opponents. Every opponent going forward will do their best to test him and have confidence. He landed one punch. It's not like he hurt Whittaker with the punch. It's not like it changed the outcome. Obviously, he never even made it out of the round, but it was something I saw in Whittaker's face acknowledging like, oh, from now on, I'm always going to be in a fight. And yes, maybe his opponents, being Gavazi's opponents, do not stack up great as some fantastic resume, but he brought some hardware to the show. And Whittaker needed to get some hardware, some credibility, some credentials, and he's only 10 fights in, 11 fights now after beating Gavazi. In his 10th fight, I'm not expecting necessarily for him to be in super tough. I think that's an appropriate fight for his second match up with Andy Lee in his corner. It's an appropriate fight for his first Matchroom showcase fight. It's in his hometown. You want to look good. You want a knockout of the year candidate. If you have a fight like that, you want people talking about the highlight. That's what he got. He got it inside of a round. I don't begrudge him that at all. Now, the question is, what do we take from it? What does he take from it? What I took from it was that this guy is going to be facing confident opponents going forward. Nothing wrong with the opponent he faced on Saturday. I wonder what the style will be, though, as the level of opposition elevates. Do we think we see that showboating Ben Whittaker in the future when the talent starts to match talent?
Yeah, I think what you're saying too is that the book, Cameron released the book on him, press him, go after him, pressure him. Floyd Mayweather famously said, straight up and down, no special effects, right? But there is such a thing as the inverse of that. Is are you just a bunch of special effects? Do you have the straight up and down? And that's what guys like Cameron and Gavazzi, unsuccessfully are trying to test his metal at. And I don't know about Whittaker. His timeline doesn't really line up right now. I don't know about him ever getting in there with Benavidez, Bivol, and Beterbiev. But what he is on a good path towards is when those belts get freed up or vacated, or when guys like Diego Pacheco move up from 168, David Morrell, Callum Smith winner, Joshua Buatsi. He is very live against guys like that and could very well become a world champion. What I'm impressed, though, is by Radio Rahim, because Radio Rahim, after his last fight, Whittaker was emotional in the post fight, talked about how the hanger ons weren't around him and everything. And you said he got a dose of reality with all that. Turns out he gets robbed. His house gets robbed after his fight. And like I know, more times than not, when your house gets raided, it's by someone you know. It's not just by some stranger doing that. So I felt, to take it back there, your take on that aged well, and it's something he's kind of maybe still dealing with.
Your house being robbed while you're fighting in your hometown is a special kind of insult. I hope, in fact, that it was a perfect stranger who just knew exactly where when Ben Whittaker was going to be on the night, as we all did.
Right.
And that has happened to many a celebrity. It sucks. It's real slap in the face. It's a reality call also for Ben Whittaker that just like you're going to be facing confident opponents going forward, you're a bit more of a target outside the ring now than you were before as well. Your star is rising. Your brand is cementing. Your elevation of your mentality needs to go right along with it. You clearly need more security for your homestead and maybe in these streets. I don't know what kind of life Ben Whittaker lives outside the ring. Maybe this was just a random, like I say, thief taking advantage of knowing where the guy was going to be. But you also have to have some confidence that there isn't going to be any resistance when you get to the house. You got to know, like you said, you probably might have some intel on the guy, knowing nobody else is going to be home, knowing there's no massive dog, knowing there's no security system, knowing that there's no security patrol. It's to have the confidence to rob a guy like that. You do have to have, I believe, some intel. Probably just not a random shot, being that it happened on a night when he was fighting. Clearly, whoever set him up knew that was the night and must have had some confidence that they weren't going to get caught or be met with some kind of deadly force, which suggests some type of inside job, if not just a clever stranger. What I believe is the lesson, as I said, that Ben's in a new stratosphere now. Whatever his experience was at boxer at that level with those first 10 fights will not carry him into the next 10 fights. He needs to level up in every way. He's got Andy Lee in his corner. That is a level up type of trainer.
Big
He's
time.
got Matchroom as his promoter. That is a level up promoter.
Yep.
He is now going to be introduced into the American market of boxers. That is a level up region. So you're going to have to level up your life outside the ring as well, and whatever you're into or the people you're around or whatever vulnerabilities that you may have had in the past, clearly you need to lock those down and sew those up. I'm excited for what Ben Whittaker's future might be. I like the guy. I think his showboating, while it's not my flavor, I think it serves him well. If he does have that foundation, that core structure for the X's and O's and the fundamentals down, then why not play some jazz in there? I got no problem with that. I prefer what I saw Saturday night, though. I like straight up and down right to business. I like a knockout inside of 2 minutes and 15 seconds as opposed to 3 rounds of you licking your tongue out, throwing punches behind your back, doing the Ali shuffle
I mean,
and
there
all
were
that.
glimpses. He had a look off. He had 1 or 2 quick moments where he let that out.
Right, but if your focus is that, it might take you 3 rounds to get what he could get inside of 3 minutes. And so if that's the trade-off, I'd rather he go straight to business. And if you can do all that and still get the knockout in under 3 minutes like you've done on Saturday night, then I got no gripe with it. But we'll see going forward as the opposition, like I say, does level up. And Matchroom is known for putting guys in tough. They don't, they build fighters well, but
They say
they
Eddie Hearn gets his
do.
guys beat. That's what they say.
Well, he
To
figures
your
out
point,
what
that
these
they
guys
match.
are
Yeah,
made of. And I don't have any problem with that. He likes to put on entertaining, good
I'm with you.
matchups. Like I say, Gavazi brought some hardware, so that makes perfect sense why you'd have that fight. And it's meant to be a showcase fight. You don't have to be in tough every time. But when Ben Whittaker is not going to get slow walked, he's not going to put the training wheels on and soft soap him. He's going to have to win, and he's going to have to win fights that are good matchups, that are value for dollar, and that hopefully are entertaining, not because they're back and forth, but become Ben shows with quality opponents that he can be dominant. That's what I believe Matchroom intends to bring. And if you're bringing him to the American market, then you damn sure intend to showcase him against quality opponents, or the American market is not where you need to be.
If he can win the fights, he will become a star. He already has a. He makes people feel things and think things already. I'm interested in his career. Some people will be like, oh, this guy's a dickhead. And then other people will love it and eat it up. They'll love the talent that jumps off the screen. It'll come down to, as it always does for the most part, if he can win the fights. If he can win the fights, he'll be a star.
Right. But it also comes down to the fights that he's in. I
Yeah.
don't think he'll be a star winning knockover opponents. He will have to level up his opponents. That's already something people are calling for.
Yep.
And I don't believe the antics of showboating in the ring will make up the difference. If he's in there against guys that he is overmatching and again decides that it's time to put on a show instead of have a fight, that ain't going to carry the day. He has the skill. I think he's got the killer instincts. He's got the hunger, and I think he's learned the lesson. And he'll be himself. I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being able to get in there and do some entertaining stuff while you win. However, getting the win as quickly as possible and knocking guys out has to be the main focus, and everything else is garnish. Everything else is added bonus, but nothing else is the focus. And we'll see if that is in fact how he approaches the sport. I think he's in the right place, though. Matchroom is the right place. I think America is a good look for him, and I'm interested to see how they match him up for sure.